So that's recording audio.
Cool.
In my microphone. I do have, audio in my camera as well, just in case. There's times I forget to press record on my
Oh yeah, me too.
microphone, so that's really fun.
Oops.
I know, yeah. So you've been busy today?
Yeah.
Nice. What kind? Is it like what type? What?
Why am I busy?
Yeah. And yesterday you slept really late.
I always do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Many of us do.
Mhm.
I say us as an artist.
Mhm.
Today.
What did you do today?
July was really busy for me because it was my first time curating a show.
Oh, nice.
So a lot of times I'm opening up and locking up.
Mhm.
There's a lot of things I didn't know I had to consider when curating.
Yeah. Like what?
Sometimes, I think you know a bit about this. When there are deadlines, it's harder to communicate when you're stressed or when things are happening.
Yeah.
Luckily, I had some really wonderful people to work with, so
Nice.
I didn't have to worry about that too much.
Nice.
But the main reason why I would not probably want to curate is because it's different than facilitating. It's different than facilitating because I really like engaging with people for a short amount of time.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you curate, you have to engage with people for like a month.
Okay. Yeah.
When you're like teaching people how to paint or teaching people how to do certain things, usually their attention span is around 3 hours, which is perfect because that's a really small part of your day.
Yeah, exactly.
Today I had to, and typically, not just today, but typically if I'm going into, for gallery hours, I have to sit there or babysit the space, which I don't really enjoy.
Okay. It's kind of like you're just sitting there and then waiting for people to come, or...
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's like kind of like retail kind of...
Literally,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm the key holder, so I have to make sure no one steals anything and everything locks up, so...
Yeah, that definitely gets boring.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
Does it?
It does, yeah. Boring is the right word. Absolutely.
So when do you have to be there? Like from what time to what time?
Today, I had some friends coming by, so I had to be there from 3 till 7 because we were doing
3 to
this.
7? Oh, yeah.
But tomorrow I have to be there from 1 to 8.
1 to 8, okay.
Yeah, it's longer.
Yeah. Okay, that's like 7 hours. That's like a
Yeah,
full-time job.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's more effective for me to do, for example, 2 workshops in that time, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Because then if I charge like 40 a person, and then even if I had 10 people the whole day, that's still $400.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's about like the efficiency of time.
True. Do you think you'll do like curation again?
Very seldom.
Then what prompted you to do this one? Like
Curiosity.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, most of the time it's curiosity.
Yeah,
And
that's
then
for sure.
and then you're like, oh shit, that sucks.
Yeah.
Like,
It's always like that.
not ordering that again.
Yeah. So when have you... Obviously, there's like one answer to it. Like, when have you decided to like become, an artist, or like?
Whoa.
Have you?
Big question.
Yeah, big question, and also like.
Is this a podcast?
Well, I mean, it's kind of like an interview as well.
Yeah, I like it a lot. Yeah.
Right? So like, what were you doing before, like when you were painting, and
Okay,
were you
cool.
working at a job or like something?
Artist talk. Awesome. Okay.
Like, I don't know anything about you. Yet,
Yeah,
right? Yes.
yeah, I see.
So like, it's just out of pure curiosity for me.
My parents, I immigrated to Toronto from Thailand
Yeah.
when I was 2.
Yeah.
My parents had a restaurant for almost 20 years. I worked in that restaurant and other restaurants in the city for about 8 years, 7 to 8 years. I spent a long time, how do I say this? It's very easy to know what you don't like before you know what you like.
Yeah.
It feels to me like certain things need, especially if you don't like it, you need time to kind
Mhm.
of process whether or not
Mhm.
you enjoy it or not.
Mhm.
And that was the case for me and the culinary world.
Mm.
I really needed to know because a lot of my decisions based around culinary was based around guilt.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I'm from an immigrant family, so
Yeah.
if my parents built something for with their lives,
Mhm.
and have the I have the opportunity
Mhm.
to say yes, I'll take it over,
Mhm.
or no, I won't.
Mhm.
That is a big decision.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So I ultimately said no.
Mhm.
Um,
Were they disappointed?
I have parents who are very understanding,
Nice.
which is rare for
Nice.
most immigrant families.
Yeah.
I think most immigrant families want their kids to choose stability.
Yeah, for sure.
I I mean, we just had this conversation, but I don't think uh, I don't think artist is exactly the most stable
Yeah. Yeah,
stable
no.
career. Yeah. So they weren't um, necessarily happy, but they
Mm.
understood that it was better for me to do what I wanted than to do what I
Mm.
didn't want.
Nice. That's good.
Yeah, good and rare.
Yeah.
So, having spent around 8 to 9 years in culinary,
Mhm.
I eventually went. I eventually said no, and then I decided to go to art school.
Art school, nice.
Yeah.
Which art school?
I went to Sheridan
Nice.
for illustration.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's good.
it was good. I would, knowing everything that happened
Mhm.
and all the experiences I've had and all the friends
Mhm.
I've made, I would still do it again.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Nice.
That isn't the case for some of my cohort.
Mhm. Like they wouldn't do art school again?
Yeah,
Oh,
and they
wow.
only have, some of them only have bad things to say.
In art school?
Yeah.
Like what kind?
It's
I mean, obviously it's like, art school is like pretty juried, and I heard bad stuff about art school as well, especially like in the fine arts.
mhm.
But yeah, what type of bad stuff do you think? Like,
Well, I think context is really important. So,
Mhm.
to set the stage here, many of them came from high school into art school.
okay.
That's really important because
Mhm.
I went to art school after, like at 25.
Oh yeah. So you
So-
kind of have your way.
Well, it wasn't my first option, you know?
Okay.
And because it wasn't my first option, I had nothing, I like, I had nothing to lose. I had already given up something, right?
Mhm.
So, what was me going, like, I went from literally dishwashing to
Mhm.
painting class,
Yeah.
right? So, it was always set up for me to enjoy it.
Yeah.
But for some people, maybe the pacing was too much.
Mm.
Many of us got carpal tunnel.
What's that?
It's nerve damage.
Oh, nerve damage.
Yeah, from
Oh,
drawing. A lot of us did.
Yeah.
And you were right when you said that it's juried.
Mhm.
I think that often in our school you have this idea that it should be free and you should do it a certain way.
Mhm.
But like most things in this society, it's a
Mhm.
business,
Yeah.
right? So they teach you how to. They want you to pass, obviously, so then
Mhm.
it looks good for them. But also,
Mhm.
they are putting you through a pipeline.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not a painting program, but I came out a painter, so
Yeah.
and I had to put painting aside for like
Yeah.
2 years because I didn't have the time to paint.
Mhm.
And that was the case for a lot of us.
Okay.
Not just painters. We had a very talented group of people.
Mhm.
So many people wanted to do different things and they
Mhm.
weren't allowed to do it.
Mhm. Wow.
Yeah.
That's tough in art school, and especially for artists.
It's tough and expensive, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like not many of us are like third generation lawyers,
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
we're poor as shit. So
Mhm.
like a 40K price tag to be unhappy is like really tough.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said.
It's not. It's quite the privilege to go to art school. So I often try to, when I curate
Mhm.
workshops and I facilitate learning opportunities, I try to put a bit of that into the 3 hours that I do with people. Then they can then they only get the good parts, right? Because there's obviously a lot of bad parts in our school. The pacing was crazy. It was like 40 hours a week, and you had like 6 or 7 different classes, and you're doing several different things at the same time.
Yeah.
Many things that you wouldn't want to do, but that diversity was valuable to me.
Okay.
Even,
like what kind of stuff that you don't like to do in art school?
Good question.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just start to list a bunch of things.
Okay.
These are just classes that we had. So obviously we
Yeah.
had drawing class, we had painting class.
Yeah.
We also had we had some print classes. We had some 3D modeling classes. We had graphic design class.
Nice.
We had motion graphics class.
That's cool.
So it was quite diverse,
Yeah.
right? And each year turned up the difficulty
Oh, yeah.
naturally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and a lot of, and I think if you're going to be paying for 40K, it, in my mind, it makes sense to try a lot of things.
Yeah.
So that when you leave, you are more, what's the word? You have a diverse amount of experiences to pull from, as opposed
True.
to just one painting class.
True.
Because I was allowed to explore, I spent maybe the first 2 years drawing and painting, and in the third year I did exclusively collage, and in fourth year I did exclusively digital painting.
Oh, wow.
So we got to choose, which was valuable to me, but
Yeah.
not valuable to some people.
Yeah.
But that being said, all those things, the painting, drawing, collage, and digital painting, all work together and informed
I think so.
my work now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so, because I think like art form, there's different types. Like for example, if I'm drawing, and if I do a little bit of photography, that would also kind of affect
Of
my
course.
art as
Yeah.
well. So like
For
trying
sure.
different things as artists, it's definitely really really valuable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think curiosity is really important. But more than curiosity, I think obsession is more important. Passion, obsession. You need these things to kind of stand out.
True. That's true.
But who has the luxury to do that, right? Not all of us. To have the time to be obsessive
Yeah.
and the time to be passionate.
Yeah.
It's rare.
Yeah. How do you think? Well, how did you made it? I know like everyone's on your own. Like,
Oh,
their own
okay. Well,
journey.
let's made it is maybe not the word I would
Yeah.
use.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that I'm making $1 million a year, right? I only started around 2021, so I'm quite fresh. And we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to say is going to sound very familiar to you. But the most important thing to do as an artist is to build a community around your artwork. And sometimes it makes sense to borrow from communities, right?
Borrow? Like what?
Great question.
Okay.
What I mean by that is, for example, doing art, movies,
Oh.
for example, Ghibli movies,
Yeah.
you're borrowing from a community
Oh,
that
yeah,
already
yeah,
exists.
Yeah.
And you're introducing yourself as an artist who can do these things to other
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
right? And then once you have, let's say, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 followers, then you can start to introduce other things. Like, also, I'm a sculptor,
Yeah.
Also, I'm a poet,
Yeah.
So I used to think that you have to keep these things separate, but you will find that there will always be people who love you for who you are. And the courage to understand that and the courage to accept that is always very hard. But once you do, those people will never leave you. Because, for example, I have people who I thought would only love my digital paintings.
Yeah.
And then they saw I am an oil painter. And then not only do they love my digital paintings, but
Yeah.
then those are the people who also love my oil paintings.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Also. And it goes back to what I've been learning about recently. And this is really relevant to us as artists.
Mm-hmm.
If you have to explain your value to people, then they're not worth your time. And this goes to consumers as well, because there will always be consumers who you don't have to explain yourself to. They will just love you for who you are.
True, totally.
But that takes time, right? Like I said, my parents had a restaurant for 18 years, so they they had the privilege of time to create a community around their food and what they do.
Yeah.
Not many people have that privilege.
Yeah.
So for us artists, the first 5 to 10 years would be kind of challenging. But I'd rather do this than washing dishes. So
yeah, I mean, like, I totally get it. Yeah. there's like, I think for artists I wish there was another way, but like we follow our hearts a lot.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think people need us, right?
Yeah.
We remind people that there are other ways to live.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Totally. Like I met a friend that like he does he's a web developer, web designer. And then like I showed him a little bit like some pieces of like, being an artist, like the studio and stuff like that, and then it kind of opened his mind as well.
Yeah.
It's like, oh wow, there's like a whole way to live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some people aren't aware, and just by living your life, you can inspire other people as well.
True, totally.
That's why it's so important to survive, like whatever it takes to like live another day as an artist, whatever it takes to live another month as an artist.
Yeah. Because
you never know when you might find more people who support what you do.
That's true. How did you, I mean, like, obviously you really need time to think it through and then have this kind of conclusion, like what you just said.
Yeah.
Were there like a dark time that you really can't find yourself?
Yeah, sometimes that happens. Yeah, of course.
Does it still happen?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean part of being an adult is not to be reactive, right?
Yeah.
And part of being an artist is to, instead of being reactive, is to be expressive.
Yeah.
Right. We had this conversation last night about like it's not really a grind. I need to do it, or I'm gonna.
That's true.
I'm gonna be depressed. So.
Yeah.
It's a privilege, because then instead of being sad, we can just be sad on paper. And expressing it does heal us in some way. I like to think that.
True.
If we're putting our emotions into our artwork, not only is it healing us, but the people who are going through that can also be healed by that art too.
That's true.
Yeah. So I think it's not so much about what we're going through, because that's we can't control that. It more has to do with how we go through it.
Yeah.
Whether or not you're hurting people, whether or not you are creating something with it to heal people, right? It has more to do with what you do with it.
Like I have the artist I used to work with, I guess. He also did he worked at Tim Hortons, he worked at like McDonald's, and then but he just kept on drawing, kept on designing, kept on drawing, and kept on learning. Yeah. And also like made it as I don't know like what other better words to say other than made it, I guess. Yeah. But you get what I mean. He also I think he's pretty successful as like a graphic designer.
I mean, designers are very lucrative.
Yeah.
Designer jobs are very lucrative. It's very important, if you need to survive, to borrow from institutions that would give you money. True. Right? Businesses and such. I have a friend who graduated from Sheridan Animation, and she was making like 100, 200K a year.
Oh, wow.
She left the job because it was killing her. So it's not about the money, but the money was so much that she's able to live as an artist and build her career. Yeah. The foundations of that career so easily because of that.
I mean, that is a way as well. Like you get a good paying job and then like
survive and then you do it.
Exactly.
it's different, right? You got it. It goes back to the saying, the grass is greener where you water it. You know, right? The garden is greener where you water it. So.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So you gotta just, if you want to be an artist, then you have to live as an artist, and that means like, you know, spending less money on this so you can spend more money on that.
Yeah.
And more than money, it's about time, right?
Yeah.
Living as an artist means drawing and painting at like 3 a.m. because you need to. And people see that, right?
True. Like my friends, I think I posted a story back then saying I want to get good at portrait drawing.
Yeah, look, here we are.
Yeah, and then I've been drawing every single day like since I posted
I believe that. Yeah.
I was like, well, I was surprised as well, you know, because I never been so consistent in my life.
Yeah.
I think it's just the drive and then how much you want it.
Yeah, exactly. You're right. Exactly. And it's validating too, right?
Yeah.
To see people show up for you.
Yeah.
Because
true.
you're asking people, hey, I need help with this. I want to do this because it's important to me, and then people show up for that.
Yeah.
Something that I've realized recently as well, and this is more long-term and short-term, but the people that support you now will also have more money to support you later, right? Like wealth increases over time,
Yeah.
right? Just like our skills increase over time, and our own wealth increases over time.
Yeah.
So when we're, for example, 40 or 50, right, the people who've been following us since we were 20 or 30
True.
have more money than they did then,
True.
right?
True.
So survival is important because to get to that point
Yeah.
would be a lot easier, right? The rewards are bigger because we've survived for so long.
True. It's just like we're all swimming and then see like who doesn't sink.
Yeah, and you know, you help people when you can, right?
Yeah.
Set proper boundaries.
Yeah. And you're like a huge community builder as well. Like
I try to, right? I in 2022 I did like 70 or 80 paintings in a year.
Nice.
And that was really cathartic for me. But it also was just for me. And having done a show and having the ability to show all that, it didn't feel as good as showing people what art can do for them. Does that make sense? Like, for example, it's one thing to make a painting, someone buys that painting, and then, you know, you don't have to worry about rent for 1 month.
Yeah.
It's different when you give someone the opportunity to do art again after 20 years or 15 years.
Yeah.
Because then you're giving, not only are you turning someone back to an artist, but then this person will not only continue to be an artist for the rest of their life, but also they will continue to support the art.
Yeah.
Right? So
for sure.
you're feeding a community as opposed to your wallet.
The impact is different.
The impact is different,
Yeah.
exactly. It's more impactful.
True.
And that's why I think so much of what I do is feeding the community in that way.
Yeah.
I mean, enabling people, right?
Yeah.
Empowering people.
Yeah. That's good. I thought about like after I finished the sketchbook,
Yeah.
you know, dissecting it and
Yeah.
then
Do a show, maybe.
either do a show like a studio sale,
Yeah.
or like I'll just like pick a couple of pieces and then there's like I've been in Toronto for 8 years already. It's kind of my city as well.
Yeah.
So then I've been thinking like I'll just put a portrait in the restaurants or the places that I really like to go to.
Yeah, of course.
And then
I love that.
like I'll also frame it as well.
Yeah.
And the people that follows me, the people who knows that like this activity is available,
Yeah.
they'll go find it, or if they
Yeah.
know the place, they'll go.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it's more interactive than like, because I feel like art itself a lot of the time is gatekept.
I hate that.
Yeah, and same. I totally hate that, and that's a reason why I made this YouTube channel as well, because like basically all the people on YouTube,
Yeah.
like when I was doing my own research, when I wanted to learn,
Yeah.
I can't learn anything because like everyone is just gatekeeping it,
Yeah.
or like they don't show the process, or like it's just like a glamorous side of art. It's
Yeah.
like, wow, you just draw a line really perfectly,
Yeah.
or oh, you everything's flawless, but no,
Yeah,
it's not like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's unreal.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know, part of it, like when I post, I do minimal editing.
Yeah.
first, obviously, I'm lazy.
Yeah,
Second, it's like I think sometimes like art is the rawness. The rawness is art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
So.
Truly. I agree with that.
Mhm.
I think people gatekeep because they want to protect themselves.
For sure. For
Right.
sure. Totally. I totally agree. Even the artist that I worked for, like his process, I kind of like, I not invented, but like I kind of gave him the inspiration
Yeah.
of his process.
Yeah.
I'm totally fine with it. And then he told me like not to tell anyone, which is fair.
Okay.
Because like, you know, if you're, you know, bigger in the industry,
Yeah.
you're obviously going to be afraid if someone copies you the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is totally valid. But then for me, I'm like, what if like people that really likes you actually wants to learn from you?
Yeah.
You know, there's like people on Instagram, artists that I really really like. I just watch their reels and their reels and their stories and everything they post, and even the comments. Like if they have any tips and tricks on their own technique, and then just learn it from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know where that mentality comes from, but people don't want to support other people. They don't want to empower other people.
Yeah.
A good leader gives power away.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people don't understand why. Which is fine. I mean, we don't have, like, the fact that we're even aware of this already makes us better than them. So we don't have to worry too much. It's obviously frustrating, because if you're trying to increase cultural art appreciation, then it would be better if we shared our resources.
For sure.
If that, and obviously we don't have a lot because we're artists and we're poor as shit, but we have experience and knowledge, right? But, you know, some people would rather gatekeep that, which is, you know, those people aren't our friends, basically. We don't have to worry about them. They reveal themselves very easily, so we just keep our distance.
So the portrait is almost done.
Jesus, that's fast. Yeah.
Because we've been talking, like, you know, in the flow. We're in the flow, you
Yeah.
know? Yeah, it was fast, and then...
No, you're also good. If you've been doing it, you know, every day, you're obviously going to get better.
Oh, man. There's sometimes I feel like... Okay, so the reason why I ask people to come in the evening, because the sun... There's not a lot of sun, and then I can have my own lighting.
Yeah, yeah.
But then sometimes, usually at this time, I'm like, oh, I'm so tired.
Oh, yeah, of course.
I'm so sleepy.
Yeah, yeah. The couch is literally right there.
Yeah.
So easy to take a nap. I get it.
So what's your plan, like, you know, from now on?
I have a big-ass plan.
Big-ass plan?
I have a big-ass plan.
Nice. Just keep it.
It's a privilege to dream. I think a lot of people who are traumatized or hurt in their earlier life don't have the opportunity to see beyond their pain. So I spend a lot of time being curious, and I spend a lot of time dreaming of things to do. My long-term goal, obviously, I think I will always be a facilitator. I think empowering people with art is something that I will always do. I am currently a painter in Toronto. I paint a lot of Toronto neighborhoods and businesses, mainly restaurants, obviously, because I grew up in one. The long-term goal is to paint these businesses in other cities. So I would be painting other Asian businesses in Montreal and Calgary and Vancouver and Victoria. The goal is to write a grant to get out there. If the grant doesn't happen, it'll just take longer, obviously. So it would be the West Coast and then the East Coast. And then that would take a couple years, depending on the grant. And then I would go across, go south to the States and other places around the world. Very specifically, it's about Asian landing points. What I mean by that is there is a history of Asian immigrants coming and settling in these areas, and then these areas eventually, unfortunately, becoming gentrified and losing that heritage. And the heritage being the businesses and the community that lives there. I was in Montreal recently, and I was shocked at how small their Chinatown was. Ours is really big. So the goal here is to capture these businesses and neighborhoods as part of the Canadian landscape too.
Nice. Love that.
That's the big dream. That's the goal. It might change, you know. It might be East Coast first, West Coast first. I don't know, but having a compass helps.
For sure. That's good.
What about you?
Your portrait's done.
Damn. That was fast.
I'm pretty satisfied with this portrait.
Oh.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. Here we go.
Oh, nice. Oh, you got the earring too?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Oh.
Oh, you got the glasses so well.
I was like, do you want to wear glasses or not wear glasses? This is my first time wearing glasses.
Yeah. Nice. Only the glasses are circular. If it was like any other shape, it would be so much harder.
Yeah, true.
That's fantastic.
Thanks.
Do you put the date on these things?
Yes. Previous.
Oh, here.
I do.
Oh, yeah, I see. Whoa. Wow, that's fantastic.